Does it feel like everything is falling apart? Like the whole world is crumbling around you? That you're outgrowing people and situations? That you're questioning everything that you've ever known? Well, the thing is, you're actually saying goodbye to your old self, your false self, and you need to let that crumble in order to rebuild as the person you were always meant to be. My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach. I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse, and I also offer twin flame and spiritual guidance. This is it. The whole place needs to shatter for us to wake up. And that's it. It might feel like we're losing things. We're losing people. We're losing our life. But our old life was built on an unsolid foundation. It was bound to crumble at some stage because it wasn't real. You have to see this. We were born as clean slates. And we all put on a persona to fit into this world. We adopt traits, we adopt values, we adopt everything from our environment, from our parents, from our friends. And that's not who we are. You know, like for me personally, like my first tower moment was in my teens, because that's when we really start to wake up. You know, that's our first little bit of a shake up. Because you're starting to see that most of what your parents told you was a fucking lie. Sorry, but it was. You know what I mean? Like, I know they were doing it to protect you, and they did it from their own belief system. But you start to question everything around you. Like, what's going on here? Like, you know, for me personally, I grew up being, you know, in Catholicism. But, like, the minute I reached my teens, I was, like, starting to question it all. I was like, I don't really think I believe in religion anymore. You know what I mean? Because it was, you know, because of what it stands for. But like this is the thing, and I know when we awaken, when we start to actually truly awaken to ourselves, to escape the matrix effectively, we start to question everything, like everything we've ever known. So like it's like your teenage years 2.0. It's like, whoa man, everything I've ever been told, everything was a lie. And that's a really hard thing to fathom, especially, you know, we're humans, but we're also spiritual beings living a human experience, and we forget why we're here. So we adopt this human form, and we've got this spiritual amnesia. So like we're listening to the conditioned reality, we're listening to the lies, we're listening to that matrix system, we're playing by the rules, we're staying in that fucking box, locking ourselves in this cage that we think we belong in. And then we start to see that there's something outside that cage. There's something outside that box, and we're like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? My whole reality is being put into question here. And that's one of the things that we start to see. Not only, like, it's our belief system that starts to crumble first, but then we start to see our physical reality crumble. Now, this can happen more than once. Happened for me more than once. So, like, look back on your life. Have you ever, or, you know, are you going through it now? Has everything just completely gone to shit? Like everything you strive for. And especially like, you know, especially if we go down the matrix path, we go to college, you know, we do the thing right, we get that job, we get that relationship, then the relationship ends up toxic and you lose the job and the relationship in the same fucking day, and you're like, whoa man, what's going on? Like, this was the life I thought I wanted. And then it all goes to shit. And then you have to rebuild again. And then this can happen more than once, especially as we go through an awakening journey. We can have a relapse over and over again. And, you know, for me personally, I was living, like when you're living out of alignment with your soul, when you're living in that conditioned reality, you don't know there's anything outside. You just don't. You just forget. And for me personally, it was my 8-year narcissistic relationship that really conditioned me into something I wasn't. And I was like no longer living through, you know, I couldn't see outside like for all the world. I was in this cloud. And a tower moment really had to happen. My whole world had to go to shit for me to leave that reality, because it wasn't the reality that was for me. You know what I mean? And it takes for a massive tower moment for us to wake up. It takes for us to lose ourselves completely in order to find ourselves. Now that's the thing. We're not really losing ourselves. We're shedding an old reality. We're shedding a false version. We're shedding a conditioned part of ourselves. We're shedding that persona to become who we were always meant to be, to become authentic, to be authentic, not become authentic. We can all be authentic. We just have to find that. And, you know, if we're like, you know, I just have this vision now that, like, you know, for example, our whole body is cased in a plaster, like a stone kind of thing. And, like, you know, it's literally crumbling to, you know, show us what's inside. And that's it has to crumble. It's like the shedding of the skin of the snake for you know, a better term. But like, that's it. Like, we're not who we thought we were. We're not our reality. We're not our family. We're not our friends. And that's another thing, you know, when we're waking up to the truth, we lived in this negative belief system. Lack mentality, poverty consciousness. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong. Fear, greed, you know, and this competition energy. It's like, we have to do it this way or we're going to get it wrong, you know, and everyone trying to be better than everyone else. And constant gossip, like you can see from your old reality, like when you start to look, you know, you end up like this fly on the wall when you start to look in from your new eyes, or your original eyes, we'll call them. You know what I mean? Like, you were in this life. You thought that life was normal. We did, because when when you're in something long enough, you're conditioned to believe it's normal. So we believed everything we went through. We believed that was our life. That we believed that's how life had to be. And when you start to see through your real eyes, you start to see that none of that is in alignment. It's like this. It's just like when you start to see like that negative energy, and when you can't tolerate it anymore. Like, that's the thing. It's like when, you know, we're a lot of us are empaths, so we can feel energy. But when we're in this stone casing, as we'll call it, we're actually like, we're disconnected from our soul, and we're disconnected from our bodies. We're disconnected from everything that we are. And until that stone crumbles and breaks, we can't actually see what's going on. We think that that's a part of us. And like, you know, that negative energy doesn't penetrate that stone casing. It doesn't, like, you know, and we're around this toxic energy. And yes, we probably are depleted, and we're probably not feeling very well around these people, or we are, I don't know. Like, for me personally, I was able to be happy in these situations. So we're not feeling that negative energy. It's not penetrating us. It's not affecting us, because effectively we build up this barrier of negativity so that we're actually accustomed to being in that energy, to being that gossip, to being that like the other people. And then when that casing crumbles, we're starting to, just being around negative energy at all, it's disgusting. It really, really, whatever it is, like, you know, it's like, you know, when you scratch your fingers off the blackboard. I don't know if any of you know what a blackboard is at this stage, because, you know, we don't use them anymore. But like, you know, scraping your nails off a blackboard, like, just gives you the creeps, like, you know what I mean? That kind of weird feeling all over your body. That's kind of what it's like when negative energy comes in, or you start to see, you know, people speak in this way. Like, it's like, and everything is a little shot. Like, you know, what the way I see it, like, what I mean by shot, like, you know, it gets to a stage where, you know, the way I feel it anyway, is that if somebody says something negative, it's like a punch to my inner child. It's like, you know, it's like, Jesus, I can feel it. I can feel every word. I can sense every word. I can sense every bad intention. You know, somebody might actually say a sentence that actually doesn't look that bad, but I can feel what they mean. And I'm like, oh my God, why are you so jealous and bitter? It's really like, you know, and that's it. You can pick up on tones. You know, a person doesn't actually have to say something bad for you to know that they mean it badly. So everything that we surround ourselves with, everyone we surround ourselves with, is just like, oh my God, I do not want to be in that energy. And that's the thing, you just cannot be in that energy anymore. And like, you know, this is, like, I've had many different tower moments, as we call it, throughout my lifetime. And I've had many different shit hits the fan energies, like, you know, where my life went to shit for me to wake up. And that was after both toxic relationships. It had to crumble in order to come back together. And I suppose my biggest relapse was between 21 and 23. I had to walk away from friends and family. And I went worse than I ever did. And the reason I feel it was the worst that I ever did is because I'd already awakened, or begun to awaken. So everything was like, you know, I was starting to follow my truth. I was starting to go along my right path. And, you know, I was like, this is it. Like, you know, this is it. This is my breakout of the matrix. This is me reliving my life. But then when I had to see even the current reality that I was in, it crumbled again. And I'm like, what the actual fuck? Like, you know, what's going on here? So I actually got, with my relapse, I think I felt it went back worse than I ever was, because it was harder for me personally, because I knew how to recover.
I knew how to escape the matrix. I knew how to get my mindset right. I'd already done it. So for me to then go back down to complete below zero, the worst than I'd ever been, I think I was the hardest on myself because of that, because it was just like, how did you get this far again? But I realize now I had to lose everything. And I mean everything. All the people in my physical reality in order to rebuild from zero or below zero, to actually discover who I truly was. And that's the thing. We question why do we have to leave these people? Why do we have to leave these environments? Why do I have to leave these situations? But they're not serving you anymore. If you're getting that ick from being around people who speak negatively all the time, oh my God, the moan and groan society, we were all part of it. Before we awakened, we were all part of it. It was like literally moaning about everything down to the weather, money, death, all the fucking time. It's like, oh my God, think of rainbows and unicorns, please. Come on. Change your mindset, change your life. You know what I mean? And we're escaping from that. And I know personally, I wouldn't be here where I am today if I was still listening to the negative, low vibration energy, the woe me society. You know what I mean? And I really did. It hurts when we have to walk away from this energy or these people, the people we loved, the people that were the ones who brought us joy. And that's the thing, they did bring us joy. These people, we loved them, they loved us, but at the end of the day, we had to walk away. And it's really hard when it comes to family or friends you've known your whole life. But I couldn't have evolved the way I was supposed to evolve if I still had those people in my energy. Just couldn't. And this is the thing, like they say you're the average of the 5 people you spend time with. You know what I mean? So if you're evolving and the 5 people you spend time with are not evolving, are still moaning all the time, are still doing the same shit every day, every weekend, same circle of life, you're kind of going to get stuck there. It's like, I keep going back to that analogy, put a good apple into a bowl of bad apples and you get a fucking bowl of assholes. And that's it. You like, whatever it is, we were conditioned to be like the way they were. But and this is the thing, if we allow ourselves, like, because the shield is gone now, because that layer is gone of that stone wall, that persona that we had, if we remain in those environments, we have no protection. We're actually, before, for some reason, that external shield preventing us from taking on the energy because we weren't healed empaths, but like it actually made us a part of it. But now that we're more susceptible to energy and that shield is gone, if we remain in those environments, it's like we'll never come back out of it. Well, we will, because my relapse was horrendous and I thought it was something I could never escape from again. But it took for me to, you see, this is the thing. It takes for it all to go to shit before you actually wake up. Everything has to crumble for you to wake up. It took for me to my health, mental and physical health, to deteriorate, for my life force energy to go to absolute below zero, like the end of the line kind of energy, for me to finally walk away from my family. And that took a lot out of me. Like if that would have, my friends were hard enough to walk away from, and that took a lot out of me anyway. But because it was family and I was in denial, the shit really had to hit the fan before I actually did take that step. And it took me a long time to I'll say forgive the universe, because effectively I was so angry with the universe. I was like, why are you doing this to me? Why do I have to be left alone? And one of my biggest wounds from childhood is my abandonment wound. And I was literally left completely abandoned. That's what it felt like. But I realize now I could not have listened to my own mind, listened to my own soul, listened to the truth that is me and this evolution, this ascension, if I still had those negative thoughts coming in, those doubts, those people, spreading doubt. Because anytime you try to evolve anyway, and you speak to those older people, the people that you were with before, they're going to talk you out of it. They're going to tell you you're crazy because they haven't escaped the matrix. So therefore, they're going to tell you anything that you do differently is literally wrong. And it's like, you're crazy. You can't do that. Go back and do what you've always done. Stay in the cage. Come on, throw away the key.
because that's effectively what they're doing. And they will keep trying to pull you back. So you have to understand that you're not losing anything. You're actually gaining the life you've always deserved or the life you've always wanted. This is it. You're not actually losing yourself. You're losing that false reality. You're losing your old self. You're losing that conditioned reality. You're not losing though. We all say it, like when we're on this journey, it's like, oh, I had to sacrifice so much to get here. You're not sacrificing something, because how is it a sacrifice when it was never yours in the first place, or it doesn't serve you? It's not a sacrifice, because you're gaining so much more. You have to remember that. You're actually evolving into your true self. And you're shedding the old layers of reality, the old conditioning, that false reality. So understand that. It all has to crumble so you can rebuild on a solid foundation. It all has to crumble because it wasn't for you in the first place. You're knocking down the walls of scarcity, of fear, of lack, of poverty consciousness, of negativity, of pain. And you're rebuilding these walls of love, truth, abundance, prosperity, color, you know what I mean? So it's time to say goodbye, and say goodbye to that old version of yourself. That's one of the hardest parts of it, is we're saying goodbye to the person we've known. Not only are we saying goodbye to people we've known, not only are we saying goodbye to the environments we've known, the family we've known, whatever it is, we're saying goodbye to the person we've known our whole lives, and that is you, or the old you. But it's time to let them go. They're not who you really are. They just helped you to fit into a world that you didn't belong in. And now it's time to fit into the world that you do belong in. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a free discovery call today. We'd love nothing more than to help you in your path.